Hello, my name is Logan Randall, and I'll be walking you through my design portfolio. For this presentation, I use Premier Pro and AfterEffects. I have found the Gestalt principle of design theory regarding emergence is what influences my approach to design the most. Emergence is where the whole is identified before the sum of its parts. When attempting to identify an object, we first seek to identify its outline. Then we match this outline pattern against shapes and objects we know. Only after the whole emerges through the pattern recognition do we start to identify its parts. I find this principle applies to the majority of audiences. We take in the whole composition first, and once that has been weighed and measured, we begin the process of deconstructing the composition into its individual parts. This theory has been at the forefront of my mind as I have worked through the ideation process of my design assignments. For this project, I explored various concepts and inspirations including mid-century modern, contemporary, golden mean, as well as a couple concepts involving Gestalt principles of design theory. For instance, Concept 7 utilizes emergence. Upon first glance, someone may see a face in profile looking to the left, with the rims of the eyes, nose, and cheek being the dominant features. Upon closer look, they will begin to see the letter forms making up the logo. Based on peer feedback, I chose to move forward with concepts 1, 3, and 9. I wanted to explore the use of a logo type similar to the Ford logo. I made this logo unique by creating an ambigram, most famously used in Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code. This logo reads exactly the same when upside down. This is very useful to have on business stationery letterhead or even a business card. This concept uses bold strokes. The bold weight and rigid feel of the letter is balanced by the curvature and variation of line weight in the letter R. I found this design to be very pleasing and a nice balance. This concept is bold and rigid, evoking a corporate feel. I feel this concept to be strong and was able to incorporate all three of my initials successfully. I also enjoyed how the interplay between the letters P and R made my eye alternate between figure and ground of the design. Seen here is the full color comp of the logo incorporating the color blue. I chose this color for reasons that will be discussed in the color brochure portion of the presentation. You can see here that the logo mark and my name were placed above a blue rectangular background. I chose a rectangle as my element because it reflected the strength and rigidity of the logo mark. I chose Freight Sans Pro as the font for my name to maintain the theme of strength in the logo itself. What I found was that the logo mark was overpowering the piece as a whole, and I needed to balance this out. So I punched the logo out of the rectangle and applied a drop shadow to the whole logo. I found this to be beneficial in a couple of ways. First, it balanced the strength of the logo mark, and it pushed my name forward and increased its readability at distance. Finally, I took the curvature of the letter R in the logo mark and increased its scale and punched it out of the upper right corner. This was done to balance the rigidity of the whole logo while retaining the upper right corner, symbolizing upward right movement representing progression. This is a play on the principle of reification, allowing the viewer to complete the rectangle while still maintaining the balance and rigidity. I enjoyed the challenge of this project as I had little previous experience using typography as a main design element. For this project, I relied heavily on a grid to maintain the principle of alignment in all the concepts. I also paid close attention to proximity without compromising white space. Based on feedback received, I moved forward with concepts 2, 4, and 5. These posters use Avenir Next and Adobe Caslon Pro typefaces. I paired these modern fonts together because the serif and sans serif fonts work really well together. This concept relies heavily on the bold typeface Avenir Next to draw attention to the poster. I organized chunks of information regarding the event below the title. I alternated information about the event with speakers based on industry. I justified the speaker's first name to be Flush Right Ragged Left and their last names Flush Left Ragged Right, and center aligned the space between their names below the industry of expertise. Once completed, I found this concept to be unbalanced due to the bold letter forms at the top and ultimately least successful of the three comps. I chose the centered alignment for all the typography of this concept. A centered alignment is less risky when used well. but I wanted to use it regardless to create a balanced piece. The title was created to draw attention, but in a slightly different way than the first concept. Various design elements such as pseudo-printer marks throughout the piece help tie together and anchor the piece through repetition. This concept moved forward as the final piece. I mixed it up with this design and found that playing with the letter forms by way of cropping had an eye-catching effect. This is the application of the Gestalt theory of reification, where if just enough information is present, the viewer can recognize the pattern and fill in the gaps. I created a zigzag flow for the viewer to follow while allowing ample white space and grouping together chunks of information using the principle of proximity. I feel this piece is successful because upon first glance it may seem disorganized, but upon closer inspection we see it's in fact unconventionally organized. This project was a redesign of a poorly authored website. I chose to redesign Jim Dale's website. He is the famous voice behind all the characters in the Harry Potter audiobook series. His site appears to have been built in the early 90s and possibly as far back as when the internet became public. It lacks organization, is neither aesthetically pleasing nor user-friendly. I created 6 concepts and approached the site from various angles with various objectives to reach the same goal: to address the lack of organization and aesthetics of the site. The first 2 concepts are minimal in design, utilizing Jim Dale's titles as a tagline to inform the viewer of what and who Jim Dale is. The next set of concepts present more information to the user above the fold, as well as more navigational choices. The last set of concepts marry both the minimal look with more information and navigational choices. This composition is ultra minimalistic and media heavy. I also used Jim Dale's signature as a header to give it a personal touch. I designed the architectural hierarchy to be deeper than the original shallow hierarchy. This allowed the design to look cleaner while eliminating unnecessary navigational options. This in turn leads to a less confusing and less frustrating user experience. I wanted to push minimalism to the extreme on this design. The full-page background image of Jim on stage inspires the feeling of experiencing his performance. The angle of the image and Jim's outstretched arms draw the viewer's eye to the header and tagline located at the top of the page. Navigation here is a reflection of the tagline and was designed to be completely experiential, gamifying the concept of navigation completely. This composition was the final choice. It maintains the modern minimalistic feel while providing more information organized in a card format. The image of Jim as the header evokes the feeling of a creator and draws the user in. We also have more navigational choices located at the top of the header for users to easily locate and move throughout the site. I chose a modern typeface to reflect the modern look and feel of the site, and white space has also been included in the padding to increase the page breathability and enhance that modern look. Here's the side-by-side comparison of the original and the redesigned homepage. You can see that I maintained the overall center alignment, but information has been organized in a card layout that is a repetition of the rectangular elements used in the design. This creates better harmony throughout the homepage while allowing the information to be assimilated easier. The image used in the header also evokes a dramatic feel to the website. For this project, I designed an 8.5 by 14-inch brochure about a single color of my choice. I chose the color blue as it has always been a color of preference for me, evoking a feeling of strength, trust, authority, as well as calmness. My brochure has been laid out for a 4-fold accordion brochure. I chose this layout because it offered me the most panels in which to organize my information. Some used a copy-heavy layout, while others incorporated imagery related to the color blue. Ultimately, I chose concepts 1, 4, and 6 to move forward. I used the background image of the ocean. It is closely associated with the color blue, and the ocean can display all of the behaviors blue is symbolically tied to. The front page title is vertically aligned, and the following pages provide information about tints, tones, and shades of blue. I paired a modern typeface for the headings with a traditional serif typeface for the subheadings and body copy. I had fun with this concept, playing off the history of the pigments used to create the color blue, specifically indigo. I used the display typeface chalk duster for the headings to give the brochure an artsy feel while tying into the pigment theme. The inside of the brochure contained all the information regarding tints, tones, shade, and color pairings on top of a background image of an ice sheet. I chose to make this brochure bold and ultimately chose it as my final design. The front of the brochure simply shows a reverse letter B in Avenir Next heavy italic typeface on a blue background. As the viewer opens the brochure, the word blue is revealed in the same style as the B, with each panel containing a single letter. These letters are reversed out of a blue gradient, each panel being a reflection of the information found within the brochure, a tint, a tone, and a shade gradient. The inside was designed in a way to be reminiscent of a color lookbook, or color book somebody would obtain from an interior design store. I found this layout to be very challenging because it required me to place all the information on one side of the brochure only. I had to get very creative in its organization. I used the display typeface sign painter for the headings to be reminiscent of painting. After receiving feedback from Dr. Harris, I made a few changes to the design shown here. I applied the same typeface from the front of the brochure to the inner headings and removed the underlined color names, replacing them with bold font. I think this greatly improved the design of the brochure by establishing continuity throughout the whole design piece. Through the projects in this class, I have learned many applicable skills and have improved others that will be of great value to me in my future as a designer. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed.